Bill Brockmiller. Bill, you want to wave your hand real quick? Bill is the Southwest Wisconsin Regional Labor Market Economist for the Wisconsin Department of Workforce Development, a position that he's held for over 22 years. And he is the primary author. I don't know if you know this about Bill, but he creates this amazing report, and I contacted him a couple weeks ago and said, I love this. Amazing report he does every other year that talks about workforce and economic trends. So if you haven't seen that, if you don't get that, please make sure you connect with Bill after this, because you want to know where to find that. And he'll tell you too, it's on the DWD website. He is also, in his spare time, the president of the Western Wisconsin AFL-CIO, and he has a bachelor's degree from Upper Iowa University in marketing. I also want to introduce Marina Abbott. Marina, you want to raise your hand real quick? She is the area manager for the Tomah Stevens Point Manpower. She's been working with Manpower for over 23 years and has extensive experience working with businesses not only to recruit and hire, but also to retain the best employees for them. She also serves on the board of numerous civic organizations and on the Workforce Development Council. And she attended San Diego State University. Patty Belichick is the Director of Business and Industry Services and Lifelong Learning at Western Technical College. She oversees all the consulting and customized services provided to businesses in the region, as well as non-credit and non-degree courses and programs offered by the college. Patty has been in this position for over 8 years, and she has a master's in training and performance and improvement from Capella University. And our fourth panelist, Tim Trich, is the Interim Director of Career Services at UW-La Crosse. In this position, he supervises 2 large areas of the academic and career success programs for the university, where he has worked for over 24 years. He has an MA in Student and Personnel Management from Ohio State University and a BA in Psychology from Ohio University. I am really excited because you can see we have 4 individuals with a lot of expertise and experience who can help inform us as we learn about the workforce trends that are going on in our region. So I'm going to hand this over to Bill to get started.
Good morning. I'm not going to make you do what Lisa did about the good morning thing, because I came in about 1:45, and from here it looks like everyone's got hand grenades, and I've been through that kind of thing before. And I have one little piece of advice. If you remember nothing else that I say today, and this is mostly for the men, but even if you're out of razor blades, do not shave with the same razor your wife shaves her legs with. It doesn't work well. If you heard when I was introduced that I've been doing this 20 or 22 years or so, and for those of us who were around back then, you might remember this might be a big shot of deja vu. Back in the mid to late 90s, the part of state government, the little unit I work with, was saying that this is happening and this is coming, and it's actually been a long time coming. The situation with the skill shortage and with the labor shortage shouldn't be a surprise to anyone, certainly not to a demographer or someone who studies demographic trends, because we saw this coming 20 years ago, and we had a hint of it back in the 90s, but then if there is a silver lining to a recession, it was that it kind of made this problem go to the back burner for a while because there was more unemployment than anyone would like to see. But as we start to recover and heal and rebuild from the recession, this issue is coming back, and it's coming back stronger than ever before. Now, I'm in a room like this size, I'm not going to spend oodles of time going through graphs like this, but the bottom line of this graph is it kind of confirms what I think everyone in the room probably already knows, that unemployment rates go march parallel with educational attainment. The lowest rate is for bachelor's degrees and higher, which is that blue line along the bottom, and the highest rate is less than high school diploma. And for those of you who can't see, this is about a 20-year time span or so. One of the things that I notice about this graph, though, if you can see it, is that the high school diploma unemployment rate and the all rate, so everyone averaged together, are coming closer together again. They spread apart during the last recession. In other words, you were more likely to get laid off during the last recession if you had a high school diploma than ever before, high school diploma or less. You can see in previous recessions, it tracked quite closely. But during this last one, that was a real, in terms of layoff possibility, that was I hate to use the words death sentence, but a death sentence like not before. Now, this graph is the educational attainment of our workforce. And you can see most people have a high school diploma. That's the highest head count, if you will. And actually, the lowest count of people in the workforce are less than a high school diploma. So while those are generally the hardest to employ and the hardest to give transferable skills to, they are, as far as they are, the lowest in the labor force. On the other hand, you run into them more because they're more likely to be unemployed than the rest of the labor force. Now, this graph here shows where we've recovered since the recession here in Wisconsin. And if you, the bars that go to my left are industries that have grown since previous to the recession. In other words, if we take the employment high obtained before the last recession started, and then we take the employment now, or this is about a little over a year old, this data lags a little too, but the employment now, we can see which industries actually have gained since their pre-recession highs and which are still below the bar, if you will. And you'll see healthcare, education, management, agriculture, arts and entertainment, all a bit above that bar, if you will, or have passed their pre-recession highs. Below are construction, manufacturing, retail trade, transportation and housing. Transportation and warehousing. Manufacturing is still the farthest below the bar. And again, since I've been doing this over 20 years, this is what happens in every recession. We lose, since I've been doing this, we lose more jobs in manufacturing than any other sector. Some of them come back, but some of them are permanently lost. The highest employment level we had in manufacturing was the day I started 22 years ago. Now, these lines are basically a show of what percentage these different industries make up in the workforce. So a percentage of total jobs. If total jobs were 100, then how many out of 100 are in these industries? And without having to see the detail, the top line is manufacturing, which, as you can see, goes down, but you can see where it remains even today. So Wisconsin generally jockeys with Indiana as far as percentage of jobs in manufacturing in the country. So, and right now, last I checked, we're winning that, as it were. So we have more jobs as a percentage, even today, after the last recession, than any other state. You can see that yellow one in the middle, or maybe you can, I'll tell you what the yellow one's doing. It's healthcare, and it grows, it passes retail along about 2005, and now it is the second largest industry in Wisconsin, clearly. Retail, even though retail sales continue to go, retail seems to meet a double-edged sword in that it's hard for them to fill their openings. In addition, they whether they want to or not, have to, whenever they can, bring in technology solutions to help solve a lack of workers. So their percentage of employment, even as sales go up, continues to go down. Now that's real noisy, especially from the back, I'm sure, but what this is an index, and it shows since going back to January 2000 and going further back, industries that have more employment compared to what they had in January of 2000 and industries that have less. And healthcare is the one that's shooting off the top, on the top, and manufacturing is the one that's down on the bottom, showing exactly what I said, that during every recession we lose manufacturing jobs, and when we recover we get some of them back, but some of them are always lost permanently. Now this is a little bit about the future. It's projected more of the same in a certain, you could say, because these are what industries are going to grow in the next 10 years and by what percentage. So education and health is on the top there at almost 30%. On the bottom, we don't have too many people working in government, just to re-emphasize that message. Government's going to go down by another 1% or 2% over the next 10 years. The manufacturing will grow by 6%. So at some point, healthcare will be our #1 industry in Wisconsin. Not yet, but at some point it will overpass manufacturing. Now this graph, I tell you simply what it means, and if you're like me, you feel it every morning. And this graph simply means we're getting older. And what it's really saying is the average age of a Wisconsin resident is increasing fairly dramatically in terms of a demographic profile. What that means in a day-to-day kind of thing is that if I may be so bold to say, our generation is the largest in Wisconsin, in most of the upper Midwest as well. And we didn't have as many kids as our parents did. I mean, that would be one simple way to look at it. So as we start to exit the workforce, there's not as many people to replace us as are leaving. And this is the whole reason why we were able to say 20 years ago, this is gonna happen. I mean, everyone was born 20 years ago. We knew this was coming. It shouldn't have surprised anybody. And it's going to get more intense before it gets better. I have to apologize for this one simply because the size of this room, this is not a very useful slide. But it lists the top 30 jobs in terms of openings in America over the next 20 years. Registered nurses, retail salespeople, home health care aides, heavy truck drivers. I'm just pulling a few off the list. Medical secretaries, medical assistants, cashiers, bookkeeping. And then here's the Wisconsin list. It's similar, but it's not the same. One that's on the Wisconsin list that isn't on the national list is bartenders. I don't think I need to explain that in Wisconsin. Customer service representatives, again, registered nurses appear on both. Bookkeepers appear on both. Landscaping workers, carpenters, only appear on the Wisconsin list at this rate. Assemblers only appear on the Wisconsin list, and that's again because of our percentage of manufacturing, even the hits that it keeps on taking, it still remains as our largest industry in Wisconsin. And actually, that's perfect timing. I was getting the 1 minute thing, and I'm at the end, so that worked just perfect. So there's my contact information, and thank you very much.